got the 2023 CrossFit Games kicking off tomorrow from an individual's perspective. So we thought we'd just give a quick overview of the field, some different ways to slice and dice it, just to give you a little bit more perspective on who is competing this weekend. On the women's side, we have 29 women who are Games veterans returning to Madison this year. Obviously the highlight, Annie Thorisdottir returning to individual competition for a record 12th time. I took last year off for the team competition, but returning as an individual and is in our list of contenders for the CrossFit Games this year. Also returning to the CrossFit Games this year, Katrin Davidsdottir. She just missed out a couple times last year, so it'll be good to see her back in contention after a second place finish at the North America West semifinal. Also on the women's side, you got Laura Horvath, the 3-time podium finisher, Amanda Barnhart, and Bethany Flores returning for their 6th CrossFit Games. So lots of veteran experience within this group of 29 women. And then on the other hand, 13 of the 29 women are returning for their 2nd year of competition. So about 3/4 of the field will be back again and see how that veteran experience works out for them this year. On the men's side of the field, also see another 29 athletes returning to Madison this year for at least their 2nd trip to the CrossFit Games. A lot of attention on Cole Sager, Noah Olsen, and Bjorn Karl Gudmundsson, aka BKG if you're new to the sport. They're returning for their 10th consecutive CrossFit Games each. So all of them putting in a decade at the CrossFit Games. No slouch right behind them. Jonakowski's coming for his 9th CrossFit Games. You got a couple Canadians, Patrick Vellner and Brent Fikowski. Both have spent some time on the CrossFit Games Podium, returning for their 8th CrossFit Games. Then right behind them, you got Sam Quant and Alex Vigneault returning for year 6 for them. So a lot of veteran experience at the top of the field. And then on the men's side, you got 9 athletes who are returning to their 2nd trip for the CrossFit Games this year. On the other side of the equation, we got our rookies. On the women's side, we got 11 rookies. This list is highlighted by Olivia Kerstetter. So the 17-year-old athlete could be competing in the teen division this year, but qualified out of the North America West field. She is the reigning fittest teen on earth after winning the 16 to 17-year-old competition this year. So she'll be highlighting a strong women's rookie field there. On the men's side, we got 10 rookies coming to the games this year. They're really highlighted. We got 3 former teen athletes as well within this group. So James Sprague, Jack Farlow, and Bailey Martin all competed at the CrossFit Games in the teen competition at one point. One of the biggest storylines this year within the CrossFit Games season is who's not competing. So 6-time reigning champion Tia Claire Toomey Orr is not competing as an athlete this year after becoming a mother this spring. Last year's 2nd place athlete Mel O'Brien also stepped away from competition right before semifinals this year. So creates a lot of opportunity for new people or new faces to finish on the podium. From a women's side, you got Annie Thorisdottir, 2-time fittest woman on earth, has 6 podium finishes to her career resume. Right behind her, also with 2 fittest women on earth titles, Katrin Davidsdottir has finished on the podium a total of 4 times within her career. Laura Horvath was 3rd last year and 2nd in 2021 as a total of 3 podium finishes to her resume. And then Jamie Simmons, last time we saw her in Madison, 2019, she also finished on the podium. So while we got 4 or 10% of the field who has finished on the podium before, lots of opportunity for some new faces on the women's side of the podium. For the men's side, Patrick Vellner has 4 podium finishes to his name, which is top of the list, but is overshadowed by Justin Mazzaros and his 2 straight fittest man on earth titles to his name. So there is, again, a lot of room, a lot of competitiveness on the men's side, especially with Ricky Garrard, who's finished 3rd last year at the CrossFit Games out due to injury. A lot of these guys are on our contenders list and could make a push to the podium this year in Madison. If we look back to the CrossFit Open and just looking to see how those top athletes have moved on to progressed within the season, on the women's side, we have 12 of the top 20 CrossFit Open finishers making their way to Madison this year. including Paige Powers, who also won Wadapalooza this year. So she kicked off the season strong. On the men's side, Jeffrey Adler won the CrossFit Open, also won Worldwide Semifinals. So he leads a group of 7 men who finished in the top 20 Open, who are competing in the men's field at Madison this year. The next step of the season was individual quarterfinals. On the women's side, we see 7 of the top 10 athletes on the worldwide leaderboard coming to Madison this year's athletes. Our notable misses are Mal O'Brien, who finished first, Brooke Wells, who finished 5th, and Annika Greer, who finished 7th. Mal O'Brien stepped away from competition just before semifinals, where Wells and Greer finished just outside of qualifying positions at the North America East competition. On the men's side, we got the top 9 finishers on the worldwide leaderboard, all making it to Madison this year. Number 10, Victor Hofer, is one of the demo team athletes as well. So again, really seeing once it got serious, those top athletes continue to progress throughout the season. When we look at worldwide semifinals on the women's side, it's dominated by Europeans with 5 of the top 7 spots, including the top 3, which were the podium finishers in that European semifinal. The other 5 athletes all came from North America East, so definitely can see where the concentration of talent is in the women's field. On the men's side, it was mostly North American based, pretty evenly split between North America East and North America West, but definitely at the top of the leaderboard, you had 3 of the top 4 all being from North America East. And lastly, we have our worldwide rankings within the latest edition after the semifinal data. So we got 8 of the top 10 women from a ranking standpoint who making it to Madison this year. Notable exceptions were Mal O'Brien, who's the 2nd ranked athlete, and Brooke Wells, who is 10th. On the men's side, all of the top 9 did qualify for the CrossFit Games this year, with the 10th place being Guy Melheros, who did not qualify out of South America. Thanks for watching our field overview for the individual field at the CrossFit Games. If you're interested on more in-depth details of some of these people, we got videos on contenders, some wild cards, as well as some event overviews on YouTube. So make sure to check it out. As well, for little bite-sized stats throughout the games, follow us on Instagram at Franlung Analytics.